Hello there, welcome to my channel Teaching for Learning. Today's topic is AWS SSM service. SSM stands for Systems Manager Service. Using Systems Manager Service, we can connect to EC2 instances running inside a private subnet without the use of a password or a PEM file. It is safe and secure. So let's get into a demo and quickly see how we can do this. For today's demo, we'll be following these steps to achieve our goal. So let me quickly go back to my console, AWS console, and follow the steps step by step. The first step says create a VPC with two public subnets and two private subnets. Click create VPC. I'll go with VPC and more. I'll name my project as, let's say, Raman project, or probably let's give it a demo project. And CIDR as 10.0.0.16. Most of the options I'll leave it default. Availability zones 2, public subnets 2, private subnets 2. We don't need a NAT. VPC endpoints S3 gateway, we don't need them. And let's go ahead and create a VPC. Great. Our VPC is now created. Let's refer to our steps. Let's go to a step 2. Create an EC2 instance in one of the private subnet of the newly created VPC. Okay. Let me just search for EC2 here. I'll open my EC2 service in another tab. Click instances. Click launch instance. I'll give this name as demo EC2. I'll choose the Amazon Linux OS. I'll leave the image Amazon Linux 2023 MI, and I'll select my instance type T2 medium. We do not need a key pair. Remember, our goal is to connect to the EC2 instance without a password or a PEM file. Network settings, let's select our newly created VPC, because that is where our EC2 will be launched. Demo project VPC. Let's ensure it gets created in the private subnet. Let's create a security group. I'll give this a name as demo security group. Then let's leave SSH port 22 as is. We do not need SSH port. Let's remove this. Let's go ahead and launch the instance. Successfully initiated launch of instance. Let's do a refresh. Okay, status says it's an initializing state. While this is getting created, let's go back to our steps. Let's see if we can proceed with further steps. Step 3 states create a security group test.sg with port 443 port inbound and outbound open with source address equal to VPC CIDR. In our case, we have created that security group name as demo SG. Let's go back to our console. Let's open our security group. Let's open the security group in another terminal. Let's edit the inbound rules. Let's say add rule. Let's select HTTPS. Let's select the source IP R VPC cider range. Click Save Rules. Let's repeat the same thing for outbound rules as well. Remember, these rules are needed for SSM service to interact with EC2. Let's add rule. Let's select HTTPS. Let's select our VPC cider. Click Save Rules. Great. So we're done with step number 3. Let's move on to the next step. It says create a role for EC2 instance to access SSM service and associate it with EC2 instance. Okay, let me just type role here. Let me open roles in another tab. Let's create a role. Select a trusted entity type as AWS service and select EC2 here. Under this, you would see EC2 role for AWS Systems Manager. Select that. What basically it does is allows EC2 instances to call AWS services like CloudWatch and Systems Manager on our behalf. Just click Next. It selects a policy. So let's click Next. Let's provide a role name, demo role. Let's keep it a little more specific, demo-SSM role. Scroll to the bottom and click Create Role. Great. We have created a role, demo SSM role. So in 4, we have created a role. Let's associate the role with the EC2 instance. Let's go back to our EC2 instance. Let's check the status of our EC2 instance. It's up and running. Now let's modify the role. Click the EC2 instance. Go to Actions. Go to Security. Select Modify IAM role. And select the newly created role, demo SSM role, and update IAM role. Let's check if the role is associated. Just click Details tab, scroll down. Here you can see IAM role is associated. Now let's create VPC endpoints. Uh, Basically, VPC endpoints are a way for it enables customers to connect to VPC services privately. You can refer to AWS documentation for more information on this. So let's create VPC endpoints for each of these 3 services. Let's go back to our VPC tab. Select our VPC. On the left, you should find endpoints. Here it is. Let's click Create Endpoint. Let me give the endpoint name Demo SSM. Service category AWS Services. Type SSM here. Choose the option. select a project, select the subnets, and select your private subnet. Remember, we have two availability zones, so we have to select our availability zones and respective private subnets. Select our security group and create an endpoint. Great. We completed step number 6. Let's move on to step number 7. Create endpoint, demo EC2 messages. Scroll down. Let's type EC2 messages. Select the option. Select your project. Select your subnets. Again, private subnets. Select your security group. Create the endpoint. Step number 8, we need to create an endpoint for SSM messages. Let's go back to our console. Create endpoint, demo SSM messages. Let's type SSM messages. Select the service name. Select your project. Select your subnets. Select private subnets. Select your security group. Let's go ahead and create the endpoint. Great. Let's check the status of these endpoints. Just drag to your right. Check the status here. Ensure the endpoints are up and running. Let's wait for a couple of minutes. Great. Endpoints are up and running. Now, step number 9 says reboot the EC2 instance. Let's go back to our EC2 instance. Select our EC2 instance. And do a reboot. Meanwhile, I'll open Systems Manager service in another tab. Go to Fleet Manager under Node Management. Click Get Started. You can see this is empty here. Now with all the steps what we have done, the machine should be seen here. That means it's under the control of Systems Manager. Let's do a refresh here. Give it a couple of minutes. Let's do a refresh. It will normally take anywhere between 1 minute to 2 minutes. while this is under process, let's recap what we want to achieve. So we are trying to connect to an EC2 instance hosted in private subnet through SSM service. Here we are not using any username or password or PEM file. Great. We got our instance populated here. Let's select this instance, select node options or node actions, sorry. Go to tools or connect option and click start terminal session. Voila. We are able to connect to the EC2 instance without the use of password or a PEM file. I think this will do up for this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave comments. Thank you. Bye.